Okay, it's 12:30. I'll just give it a few seconds for a few more people to join. Looks like we've got quite a good number of people joining today. Thank you all for coming along. While I just give it a few more seconds, just by way of housekeeping, we will run through some questions and answers at the very end. So if you've got questions in relation to this presentation, feel free to pop them in. This session will be recorded, so for those that miss it or want to go over some things, we'll distribute a recording. At the end, there's also, once the webinar concludes, there's just a brief survey. If you could kindly complete that. We do value your feedback on making these sessions better and better. All right. In legal tech, we trust, building real client relationships. Thank you very much for joining me this afternoon. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Paul Psaltis. I'm the CEO of Setify. I've been here for nearly 3 years. Prior to that, I worked at various other legal tech companies. And prior to that, I was a practicing solicitor, albeit for just a few years before I moved into the world of legal tech. So today's session is all about building real client connections using technology. Now, a lot of these sessions that we run us in the legal tech space, they tend to talk about time and money and things like that. And there's a lot of apps out there now, and there's a lot of sessions. And I went to a couple of sessions recently, a couple of conferences, and some of the feedback that I received was practitioners are starting to feel a little bit of legal tech fatigue, a little bit of app fatigue on being kind of almost preached to on how they can save time and money. And the whole premise of this session this afternoon, it's only 30 minutes with questions and answers, so it could be a little bit shorter, is how Setify can help you with the real. Because the real situation, particularly in family law, is the modern legal practice, clients are becoming harder to deal with, the practice area is becoming more challenging. I love these two transitioning pictures. A lot has happened in 100 years. The way that we engage with our clients has changed a lot in the last 100 years, the way we use technology and how we've evolved as practitioners as well. There's a lot of changes that have happened, even in the last 5 to 10 years, let alone the last 100. And so really what I want to talk about today is the real, like how you can build real connections with your clients and how Setify can help with that. You know, many of you here this afternoon are running businesses, some of them small, some of them mid-sized, and probably just want some help and suggestions on how to better connect with your clients and how to better run your business. You're all here because you're very good at what you do, which is practice law. And apps like Setify and others out there are really just to help you work on the other things, the admin side, the building the connection side. And you know, Setify started with, the two co-founders were practicing lawyers, Max Patterson and Athol Bertley. Max Patterson was and is an accredited specialist family lawyer. And at the time, he was a junior, and a lot of us did this when we were junior practitioners. We were tasked with going out and gathering that initial client information, and he thought there has to be a better way. And that's really the long and the short of how Setify started. Setify is all about people. One of our taglines is brilliant first impressions every time, brilliant first meetings every time. Paperwork, not people. And in a world of so much choice, we're all about making people feel comfortable. I love this picture, and I love this case study that Deborah did for us. Deborah is the principal of DA Family Lawyers. She's also recently expanded into mediation services. Like to give Deborah a plug because she's based up here in Brisbane, where I'm from as well. And this is a great case study. It will be circulated after this webinar. It's also available on the resources page on the Setify website. And a lot of what Deborah talks about is Setify is almost empathetic. It uses refined language to engage with people 24/7 via your website. Where Setify differs from a lot of other legal technology applications out there is it's used by regular people as well as legal practitioners, and that's a real differentiator. Especially in the world of family law, clients are looking to connect with a person, to receive empathy, to receive education. That's the reality of modern family law legal practice and the reality of just modern legal practice. And that first impression is incredibly important. Let's talk a little bit about the modern client. The modern client does a lot of window shopping. Long gone are the days where you would use the same doctor, dentist, lawyer, accountant that your parents, maybe grandparents used that was in the same little, the town, village, suburb that you all grew up in. People these days grab a handheld device. They will search family lawyer, maybe the suburb, maybe the city. They'll search for the services. There's apps out there that help people connect with professional services as well. And then they will shop around. You've got a very small window to create a great first impression. I'm sure from your own experiences, especially if you've got a young family like I do, you get very little time to yourself. I'm at home today, and probably a very brief period where the little one's in daycare and my wife's out. She works from home as well. So time is limited, especially time to yourself. And I'll often get a small window in the evening where I'll engage with businesses, shop around, and I expect a response relatively quickly. And the better engagement I receive early on, the more likely, there's a greater likelihood of me using that business. And it's the same with most people, and it's certainly the same with prospective clients. The modern client has high expectations. They're used to doing almost everything online. If you think about our personal lives, the end of a phone or a computer, and almost every service can be engaged online, at least initially online. And that's now transitioning, well and truly has transitioned into our professional lives as well. And the DA case study really talks about that. Building trust and empathy through technology. And at the beginning, I said, this presentation and webinar is just talking about the real, about how you can build a connection with your clients. You create that education piece early, especially in family law, which is becoming more and more important, more and more prevalent. I fondly remember being a junior lawyer myself, being responsible for all of the firm's initial intake, having a partner come to me and say, Paul, here's a clipboard. There's someone in our boardroom. Can you please go and get the initial information? And maybe if you're lucky, you'll be told what practice area it's to do with, or you have to ask the person themselves. So not really that personal. You're sitting opposite someone who's going through an awful time in their lives. Going to a lawyer is stressful for most people. They'll only do it for in a handful of times in their lives. At any time, it's stressful. Even buying and selling a house for some people is awfully stressful. They're coming into the world of family law, which is really, really stressful on a number of levels for everyone involved. If you're just sitting across from them with the clipboard, you can say something very simple that can trigger them. They break down. I remember really fondly, but having people break down, going to court, representing someone, having very little understanding of their matter, of them as a person. And you could almost feel that it was quite clinical. It was almost transactional. They felt it and I felt it as well. And, good clients really want some warmth. They want engagement. They want education. They want empathy. They want understanding. And family law is tough. Good technology can help the burden and allow you to do what you do best, which is to practice law, or if you're a mediator, I know some mediators registered for this, barristers, and so on. This slide just leads in nicely to examine why clients walk away. Why don't they engage with practitioners? This graph is taken from the most recent Clio Legal Trends report, shows the most common reasons clients choose not to engage with a particular lawyer or firm. Not responding within a timely manner. There is now an expectation that you will get back to someone within 24 hours. Most people have actually said, and most respondents of this survey said they had a same day expectation. So that's something that lawyers really need to think about. They didn't get any indication as to what to do next in their matter. Maybe they were engaged, they filled out a very basic form, someone called them and said, yeah, come in and we'll talk to you. And they just don't feel comfortable in doing that. They want something a little bit more in that first impression. They felt helpless. The client didn't understand the process for their case. They were just feeling left frustrated. And just over half of the respondents surveyed said the lawyer they spoke with wasn't likable or friendly, which is really easy to do when you're practicing law. You don't intend to be unlikable, unfriendly, but you've got 101 other things going on. Someone rings you, you pick up the phone, you say, well, come in and we'll talk about it. There's a lot going on. So it's very hard to build that connection in the outset. And it's hard to make that first impression. And as the old saying goes, once you've made that first impression, or because you don't get a second chance at making a first impression. And once you've made that first impression, it's really hard to come back from that. Clients also said in the survey that they will spend maybe 5 to 10 seconds on someone's website to decide whether they want to use that business. It only takes them 5 seconds to decide whether they like you or not. And let's face it, being a solicitor, being a mediator, barrister is really hard work. It's hard just doing the practice side of things, let alone the business side and the people side and the client side of things. And to compound the previous slide, legal work, especially in family law, is really challenging. I don't have to tell any of you here today how challenging it's become. It's become a lot more complex. There's a greater burden on practitioners. There's an expectation of education. There's a greater expectation of empathy, of care, of caution, of trying to go down the path of alternative dispute resolution methods, educational pieces, trying to avoid acrimonious matters, which is really, really hard. There's only so much you can do as a practitioner. There's a significant psychological impact for all parties involved. I'm sure you're all across the media and you can see the rise of acrimonious family law matters, the rise of domestic violence in this country as well. All of that has a ripple effect, particularly on legal practitioners and associated people that are involved in family law matters. It's incredibly hard. If you look at the impact of divorce on individuals and society, and these statistics are taken from last year's separation guide, we worked with and we collaborated on providing their report and some of these statistics. And all of you know the society cost. It's over $100 billion last year alone. Separation is estimated to have a societal impact of $868,000 per couple. Some other statistics. The guide stated that acrimonious matters cost, I think, at a minimum, $60,000 per individual, not per person. If education isn't provided, family law matters can go into the $300,000 plus in terms of fees. It now takes up to 4 years, if not more, for matters to be concluded if it goes through the court system, if the matters aren't resolved prior to going to court. There's a greater pressure on the legal profession to seek alternative resolution methods. And so this is why I wanted to talk about the real, because all of this pressure is on family lawyers, it's on legal practitioners. It isn't just family law, but it's on all of you. So how can Certify help? Like, what can we do to help you build real connections while reducing the stress that comes with family law? So I'll give you a brief demonstration on Certify shortly. It's just a teaser. You can get a greater demonstration from our team after this at another time. But in summary, every client that completes the Certify intake receives, on the right-hand side of this slide, a separation pathway. It empowers them, it educates them, it allows them to see, and it just seeks a better way for them to understand their legal rights, the legal matter, educates them on their matter. It allows them to make better informed decisions. Most people, even from the outset of their matters, only really want to know a handful of things. What's the financial outcome? What happens to the kids? And we see this when we see and we speak with family lawyers that use Certify. They want to just know what's going to happen. And they're just in this state of flux, often in a very distressed state of panic. They're very vulnerable. And so again, Certify aims to just reduce that client vulnerability because they're receiving some education straight up. They also know when they meet with you, you know that information about them as well. So you can speak directly with them about what's real, about how they're going, about how they're feeling, and what the next steps are. And we find that the family law practices that use Certify have a far greater chance of retaining clients because they just get that information piece. They get that great first impression. Again, people are engaging on your website 24/7 in this day and age. They can use it from our data shows that nearly half of people that use Certify engage it via a mobile phone outside of business hours as well. So you're capturing all of that information 24/7 and you're building that first impression by your website, and the prospective clients feel like they're speaking with a real person. And so now what I'll do if you can just bear with me, is I'll just jump out of the slide. I'll just jump straight into Certify, and you can see what it looks like. So someone who's using Certify, again, any particular time, you've got to get started online on your website. They're greeted by the practice areas. I've gone straight into family law because that's what we're talking about today. And you can see it gives them some education on their matter immediately. And so depending on what they select, the information will vary. It also just reassures them that their data is secured, which is important. And then you can, it's asking them engaging questions. Are you currently married? Yes, no, I'm not sure. And again, you can see how the information will just vary. What best describes your situation? And again, the information that is provided is it's provided in an easy, understandable way, plain English as well. What's your spouse's first name? It will pick very shortly that it assumes, but you can change if it's not male. Do you have children? What are their children? What's their name? Age? Just using myself as an example here. So it's very, very simple. There's an amicability slider, and this is incredibly powerful because it will let you know, even before you meet with the client, what their situation is like. Financial situation. And as you can see, these initial questions do not take long to complete. And what they receive is a pathway. Now, this is also provided in a PDF format. It's emailed to them. Gives them a summary of their situation. So it's almost like an initial engagement letter before they've even met with you. And this is incredibly powerful because they may be sitting on a couch, 11:30 at night, glass or a bottle of wine in, and just they receive all of this information and they can engage with you straight away. What they can also do, so they can arrange a time, what they can also do is then provide you with additional, more detailed information that will give you a brief of their entire matter. And so this is what the brief looks like. And I won't go through all of it because it is a few pages, but before you meet with them, they have an idea of their matter, they're educated, they're informed, their anxiety is reduced. You have an understanding of their matter. So you have all of this information at your fingertips. So in that very first meeting, you're speaking about them, you're having that brilliant first meeting that we talk about. In addition, my apologies, back to this one here. This is the lawyer side of Certify. So what you see when someone comes through and completes, you can do a conflict check to make sure you can act for them. But what you can also do is you can send Certify out as an invitation. So let's say someone calls you on the phone or something, and you would like to gather this information before you meet with them. You can actually, and let's just look at one, Hugh Jackman here. You can see what the invitation looks like, but this is what they receive. So you can even send them an invite to use Certify before they come in and meet with you. So they don't always have to come in via your website. If they're a repeat client or they've called in or you've met them somewhere, you can send them an invite and they can get started straight away. So that's just a brief presentation of what Certify can do. And again, how embedded on your website just builds that real client connection. Now, does anyone have any questions? Emma, you're the moderator. Have any come through?
Hi, Paul. Hi, everyone. Yes, we have had a couple of questions come through. One of the first ones was, to which practice management systems does Certify integrate with? Common ones like Leap and Smokeball.
Yeah, so we integrate deeply into Leap and Smokeball. We also offer integrations into other practice management systems. If you go to certify.com.au, we have a list of all of our integration partners on our website.
We've also been asked how do we direct someone to Certify if they call us rather than click through the website?
Great question. And yeah, I just showed that little bit of a presentation. Maybe the question was asked before I got to the very end. Certify does have an invite function. So if someone calls you or walks in, I did work in a practice near a magistrate's court on Roma Street in Brisbane, and we had a lot of walk-in traffic or foot traffic. You can actually use an invite function, send them a Certify link, and they can complete it that way.
And the last question I have here is, so what areas can Certify be used for?
Fabulous question. So this presentation was very family law geared. However, Certify also works for wills and estates, estate disputes, and probate.
Excellent. Well, I think that's really everything here. No other questions, unless someone wants to type one in really quickly.
No worries. I'll just give it a minute or so to see if anybody wants to type in questions. From here, for everybody that registered for the webinar today, we will be in touch afterwards. We'll send you some end of financial year promotions. We will also send you a copy of the DA family law case study and some other materials as well. And then our team will be in touch. It's heading towards, as we call it, silly season, end of financial year. We've got some great incentives for practices to come on board before the end of financial year, 30 June. Coming on board with Certify is really easy. It's just embedded on your website. You have a Get Started Online button, and we can get you up and running within a week or two.
We actually have one other question, which you kind
Saw
of
the prompt.
answer there. So we've been asked if we also offer a service of setting up a website.
No, we don't, but we've got some partners. A lot of people come to us and ask that as well because Certify is embedded on a website. We can recommend a couple of website building businesses to you and some that specialize in law firm websites as well.
So for whoever that was, if you email us directly at contact@Certify, we'll be able to send you some more information.
Yeah, please do. More than happy to refer some good website builders to you.
I think that answers everything for today. Thanks.
No problem. All right. Look, thank you all very much for listening in and watching today. If you've got any other questions, the contact details are listed here. You can also grab my details directly via LinkedIn. More than happy to have a conversation or chat with anyone about legal technology. Okay. Oh, nice. We've got 5 minutes to spare. Maybe we'll wrap it up there. Thank you all very much. Thanks, Emma.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.